It's the Cam Meekins show. It's your boy Cam Meekins. I'm in here with the legend, OG Swaggerdick. What up, bro?
Ooh-wee. Hey,
What
what's up, bro? How you been, man?
I am living, man. I've been looking forward to this episode for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
How you doing, man? How's life?
I'm cool, man. Trying to stay up in this pandemic. It's a little hectic, but it's cool. Yeah. I'm alive. I'm grateful.
I mean, that's enough to be grateful for right now, man.
Yeah, man.
So you just dropped the new tape. For those watching that don't know, how would you describe yourself? Obviously, you're an artist, but how do you describe yourself?
I always say I'm an all-around entertainer, but more so like comedy and music.
Yeah.
My music just makes people feel good. It can be vulgar, it can be political, it could be a message, it could also just be just wild ideas that just came from my head. It's just whatever is in my head put on pretty much audio and made into life, well, through sound.
So how did you start finding that lane in terms of wanting to make people laugh through music?
I always just wanted to make people laugh in general. I've been like that since I was younger. I used to do it to try to fit in because that was my way of being cool as a kid. But I tried too hard and that didn't work. And I'm still like going through hoops and stuff of like trying not to try too hard sometimes. I'm picking it up more as I'm older, but like as a kid, moving from Dorchester to Brookline was like, my mom tried to make it seem like it was so crazy because like, oh, we're in a different place, so it's like richer. And maybe she didn't necessarily make it like that, but I took it as like I had to fit in or like be different. So a lot of the time I was just trying to really fit in, and it didn't work up until I started being myself.
So you think moving to a different area away from the city a little bit kind of made you feel like you wanted to perform a little bit, try and fit in, and that's what kind of led you to kind of trying to be funny and things like that growing up?
No, people would just laugh. Like I would just be funny, and then like I was just doing the most after I found out like, oh, you're funny, haha, one of those things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you tell somebody they're funny, then they're trying to be funny, and it's
Yeah. I feel
it was one of those things as a kid, and
yeah,
I just felt like I had to fit in and just move into Brookline. It was just a whole new thing. Like I kind of get it. Like there was very few kids that looked like me, so
yeah,
I was trying to be, trying to fit in.
Yeah, what was that like? Because I went to a school where it was predominantly white people, and there was, not a lot of black people in my class, and so I'm curious what that was like moving to a school system like that and kind of getting used to that. Did you like?
So for Brookline, there's like Brookline. They're kind of diverse, like in terms of like races and ethnicities and everything. So
yeah,
I was with all sorts of people, but at the same time, it was kind of hard to like fit in for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it was just me trying to figure out my identity. So it just felt harder, and it was just like little, like when I look back, it was little like things that would happen in Brookline that kind of just were like racist. Like it was subtle racism, like leaving food by our door type things.
Yeah.
Like groceries. As
people would leave groceries at your door, like thinking like, like helping you out or something.
Yeah, as if they were like helping. And I was like, what? Like as a kid, you're just like,
why are you doing this?
And my mom doesn't really say anything about it, even though I know my mom now. She was thinking about it. She just didn't really want to like put that on us. But it was just weird. And I was just like, what? They would just do things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I feel like Brookline has a kind of unique history with that kind of stuff, like the Brookline police.
Brookline police are very, 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 very racist. But shouts out Officer Hats. You feel me? She's not racist. She's down with us. Brittany, what it do?
There's always a good couple people in the mix. So did you start making music when you were in high school, or was it just later
No.
on?
So I always think this is the funniest thing. In like 7th grade, I had like a CD player and I would play like just random CDs. And my stepdad had a CD that had, or maybe somebody gave me a CD, and it was a song. It was one of those single CDs where it's like it's a single and then it's an instrumental.
Yeah.
One of those, I don't know what song it was, but I put on the instrumental and I tried to rap. And I was like, I turned it off like 30 seconds later. I was like, I'm never rapping. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah. This was in 7th grade?
yeah. And then years later, I ended up rapping, which is funny as hell. So I started rapping at like, what was it, 21 maybe, 22?
Oh, so there was a good chunk of time where you weren't exploring music at all then?
No, I love music. Like, always loved hip hop. Always was into music. Just never thought I would be in the music industry.
Yeah. So then how did that happen? How did it go from I'm not doing this to all right, let me see. And you do it in such a unique way. I'm curious how you kind of I mean, I was there for a lot of this. We've gone way back in Boston, but I'm just curious from your side of the story, like how did it progress? What were the changing moments? You know what I'm saying? Or did it just happen over time?
So it was really like I was always the class clown in a sense, but I was a good kid, so I would just always just be making jokes, and my friends would be making jokes too, and that's how I kind of found out about Chappelle's Show, because they would be making Chappelle's Show jokes, and then I ended up watching it, and it was kind of a thing between everybody, and like random things like Dan Cook, like Sufi, like
Yeah.
Sign,
Yeah.
all that. Just random things would just come to me, and then when I had to watch my siblings a lot as a kid, I would just make up things in my head, like just kind of make music in my head, and kind of just took from like the Wayans Brothers show and certain characters from there, and I would just make like what would be quartet type of songs, which is what I do now for like interludes and things. But it started from that, and it just started from just kind of just comedy as a kid. And growing up in high school, I finally like found myself like my junior year. Like, my dad got locked up when I was a freshman, and I couldn't really tell anybody about it. And I remember that moment being like, I just felt like I couldn't talk to anybody, so I was just very quiet. And then he got out my junior year, and then I ended up, what's it called? I ended up finding myself around that year. So like,
Yeah.
right from that, and like, you know, TRP. For those of you that don't know, TRP was an old jerking crew of mine. We would pretty much just be like, we were just clowns. Like, it was kind of like I just found people that were like me. So ultimately, we were just like making jokes, you know, doing crazy things in the street and recording it, dancing,
making videos.
Yeah, and around the time our boy Jay Viz, he
the legend.
He started rapping. Well, he was rapping already.
Yeah.
I wasn't a rapper.
Me and Jay Viz really, he was the one who really introduced me to rapping, honestly. I've told this story a couple times on the podcast, but what got me into rapping was I had the whole jet ski thing happen, and I was kind of always writing raps, but I wouldn't tell people about it because I was like with Jay Viz and like Darnell and all these other kids.
Oh.
And like they were all rapping and I was making the beats and engineering and stuff. And then after the whole jet ski thing happened, I kind of got a little bit more like, well, fuck it. Like, I don't care if people think it's like corny or whatever. And so we were in the studio and Jay Viz was like, yo, like rap on this beat. And I had some shit already wrote that I rapped. And that was like the first time I ever like rapped on a mic. And I was like, this feeling is incredible. But no, me and Jay Viz made a ton of music together, like in that same time period when he started.
Yeah. So he started, and they made a mixtape, and I remember not going to the studio at all, not even trying to join, because I was like, I'm not rapping. Like, that's what everybody's doing. I'm not rapping.
Right.
And as the years progressed, I started listening to like Lil B and like Tyler the Creator and like A$AP Rocky. Those like examples. But like in the like blog era, I kind of just, once I heard Lil B, I was just like, damn, Like you can literally say anything. Like I knew NWA was a thing, and I knew like that was a thing, but I always thought of rap because I was such a fan as like lyrical and like, you know,
Yeah.
like just more so serious. Lil B made it fun, and just like the fact that I always said wild shit in general, so like I could just say wild shit while rapping.
Right.
So that was I started freestyling, started smoking
Yeah,
after I
yeah,
got
yeah.
out of school. So that
That'll
also
open your mind up.
and from then on I had like pretty much something traumatic happened to me, and that kind of just taught me to just like live life.
Yeah.
As I was in like culinary school. This story sounds so scattered, but
No, I'm following along perfect.
but yeah, I was in culinary school after I graduated. Um, where am I going at with this? I graduated, didn't know what I was gonna do, wasn't going to school. I started working this job. Like the next summer following, I got fired. I was in like my first serious relationship. Then that ended in a traumatic way, and I kind of just
Yeah.
in school just kind of like realized music was what I wanted to do. And around the time I met
Yep.
Tim LaRue, as
Tim
for you.
LaRue. The future is under new management.
And I started doing music around then. I had friends and my cousins around me, they were doing music, and I kind of picked it up from them, and I just started doing more music and pretty much just ended up trying to take it serious after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when you go through something a little bit traumatic, it can just put things in perspective a little bit and give
Yeah.
you a little clarity and say, you know what, this is what I kind of want my life to be like. There's the silver lining there when something like that happens.
You know what it did for me? It just reminded me that the world is very shitty.
Yeah.
Like the world is just terrible. Like
Yeah.
Bob Ross had this quote, like, if you want negativity, go watch the news.
Facts. That's
Like
relevant now more than ever, right?
negativity in life, just go watch the news. And
Yeah.
it's so true because like when you really think about life, and I'm a logical person, I think from a logical standpoint. So it's just like, damn, it's so sad. So like I kind of just had this thing where I kind of wanted to be the positive light in people's lives. Like I kind
Yeah.
of make people smile because I know it's like to go through like real terrible depression and like this mental health and things like that. So I just kind of, that's just what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make people laugh and just entertain people in ways that I can. And I kind of found out like that through life, that's just all I wanted to do. Like it legit just makes me happy.
That's really interesting. I know a lot of people say like people who do comedy or whatever, like it can kind of have some dark undertones to it just in terms of,
100%.
going through some stuff. Yeah.
You got to think about it. Like that's the reason why, damn, what's that girl's name? She's African. She's very popular on Instagram right now. She makes some videos about like not like going outside or like just ditching plans. Oh,
Yeah. I don't know.
find her Majim.o. Elsa, her name's Elsa.
Got you.
She makes these videos like one of them was like, oh, I would love to hang out with you, but it's a pandemic. And she
right.
puts her glasses on and stuff, and it's mad funny, but like the shit she says is so real, and it's things that everybody thinks about. Like she had one of saying like, I see people out together on Instagram, and I'm like, damn, you couldn't like ask me so I could have gave you an excuse to like not go. Like that. And that's so real because people like have FOMO, but also like people don't want to go out at the same time, like just in not even during a pandemic, just in general, like
Absolutely.
everybody has that flaky friend that's like, yeah, I'll be there, and it's just like, actually I can't go. It's always like an excuse.
Yeah. I'm sometimes that friend.
I'm saying it's a dark undertone, and that's like on the lighter spectrum. Like it could get real dark, comedy. But it's because and those jokes become so funny because it's like it's the thing that everybody doesn't say, but everybody thinks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and if you can't find the humor in something dark, then what are we doing here, right? some
Right.
of the best jokes have that darkness to it. But I also think on the other side of that, like people that I know who are the funniest people or the type of person that just lights up a room, like you, are also very thoughtful, deep thinkers.
Yeah.
And so was that kind of how this all happened for you? Like just the way that you see the world, kind of being funny and having comedy and entertaining in this way is kind of this way to just make you process the world
Yeah.
around you in a good way that's kind of healthy for you?
It's kind of my way. Yeah, it's my way of coping with life.
Yeah.
I live life through a funny thing. Like last week when the Capitol thing was happening,
Yeah.
I was only thing I was mad about is I was just like, if this was black people or people of color doing this,
Yeah.
it would be a hail of gunfire.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I was like, yo, this is the first time we see white people wilding out. Like, this is nuts. For one, they're going crazy. Two,
Yeah.
like, they're not even really doing it right, but they're kind of doing it right. But also, like, it's outrageous. Like, the way they're going about it is crazy. Like, I seen somebody climbing the
Yeah.
Capitol
Falling off. Yeah.
but not only falling, there was somebody with a top hat, an American top hat, and a Trump flag, like tied around like a cape. I was like, bro, this is comedy. Oh my, like there was just so much comedy within this, and I was just like, fam, like this shit is funny. Like it's a lot of funny things going on more than anything. But it was also like at the same time it was serious too. Like when you kind of like think about when you sit back and think about it, you're like, damn, like they really just let these people raid the Capitol House, and that's a bad look on us.
Yeah.
But then you're also like, damn, this low key, like a lot of this shit was funny. Like there were just a couple of pictures and a couple of things. It's just like, yo, I could be mad about this, but I could also laugh at this. And that's how I feel about certain things when it comes to racism. I feel about that with certain things. Like,
How so?
oh, like if somebody's being racist to you, but like they're so like, because I have this thing where it's like, I don't like to be angry because you kind of make emotional choices, which can kind of like really fuck things up or really turn things around. Like a lot of like you can kill somebody out of being angry, and that changes two lives. No, not even two lives. It changes multiple lives.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, so that's how I think of things. It's just like when you do things out of anger, you tend to make a dumb choice. So when it comes to like people being racist and things, sometimes they're just so racist that they're stupid. And I'm just like, bro, like if you just listen to what you said, you would be more like you would be heated. Like you'd be very mad because like you just said the dumbest thing ever.
Well, there's no doubt that the more ignorant you are, the more likely you are to be racist or have some sort of worldview that's just not based in reality and is hateful. And yeah, I feel like a lot of times these people are just idiots at their core, unfortunately. And sometimes it's way worse than that. And when people take the next step of actually acting on these horrible worldviews and do terrible things like storm the Capitol and try and hurt people or whatever it might be, there's nothing funny about that. But
exactly, like there's certain things. Of course, there's a lot of things with racism that aren't funny, and they're very serious, and there's you got to take action. Like I when it comes to certain things, I think of like there's always like a Martin Luther King perspective and there's a Malcolm X perspective.
Right.
I feel like they're both perfect perspectives in certain situations. I feel like that for everything. Like you go the Malcolm way about it or the Martin way about it, and there's never a right answer. But in certain things, there's ways to go about it. But when it comes to like, there's certain type of racism, like it's just like you're so mad that you will go out of your way to make a certain type of people like feel terrible. And sometimes it's more so funny when people are like, when they're going out of their way and harming themselves because they have so much hatred, or it's not really like doing anything for them. That's when I'm just like, this is hilarious because you're like, this is dumb.
Well,
Like, logical standpoint, this is the stupidest thing ever, and you're an idiot for this. So I'm gonna laugh at you rather than be mad at you, so that you get even madder because you really just want a reaction.
Well, if you're able to laugh and understand that this person's a fucking idiot and you're laughing at that, that is a response that, you know, is kind of the best response to have depending on the circumstance, because that person is trying to incite a reaction out of somebody by being an idiot like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But then, you know, there's a lot of times that you really, you know, just gotta, you know, put your hand down and you gotta fight back. A lot of times for that too. Don't get me wrong. And I'm learning that more in life too. Like I used to look at so many things from, like when I started this, I kind of just like had this thing where life was so real that I kind of wanted an escape. So I would look at positivity as like an escape, but too much positivity can make you oblivious, and like too much of something is just never good. Yeah. So you kind of like, you have to have that evil in a sense to kind of balance it out and put you into perspective of life and stuff. It's weird, but it makes sense.
You can't go through life avoiding the terrible situations. You do have to feel them and go through them, but you can still have a positive outlook in general with everything that you do. But yeah, I think real positivity comes from understanding that every situation is there and you have to be present in it no matter how hard it is. Yeah. You know, when my dad passed away a few months ago, legend. Like legend. You just have to feel that. You know, you can try and hide behind positive energy or whatever, but that in some ways is just pushing it to the side.
Yeah. You know? And that's what I learned throughout the years. Like, yo, you gotta like really, well, I already knew it, but in a sense, I was trying to not do that because I thought like, okay, just overcome it, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, you really gotta feel sometimes. You gotta be like, you know, fuck this. I feel this way. And that once you come to terms with that, you know, then you can do whatever. But you have to like get through those feelings. Otherwise that's how, you know, you end up in LA, you know, just at every party strung out on coke.
Facts.
Like that's so real. Yeah. Like there's so many people like when I used to live in LA that I would see and they were just lost and just like,
what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell like, damn, like this person is not facing life.
They're
like,
not facing it. Yeah. I think the fear of what you think you're going to feel if you face that difficult thing is 10 times worse than the actual feeling of facing it and dealing with it. Yeah. Because those hard feelings, they're real and they last, but they're temporary. And our brain has a way of working through it and seeing the silver lining on the other side if we choose to actually deal with the difficult situation. When you avoid it and you keep avoiding it, you keep pushing it aside, you're just prolonging it and you're actually living the fear of what you think it's going to feel like when you face it over and over and over in your head. And so that fear is 10 times worse. And you're getting it 10 times more because every single day that you're not facing it, you're fearing what that's going to be like.
It's like washing dishes.
Yeah. Yeah. The longer you wait, the worse it gets.
Yeah. The more dishes they're going to be. You know?
Yeah. Facts.
You know, and that's what anything in life, you just got to really just do it. And, you know, that's kind of hard too, because, you know, there's things where people, that's like the anxiety of doing something.
Right.
More so than doing it. Like I have you too, where it's like certain things that seem difficult, you're like, oh, I'll put it off. But then once you do it, it's like, oh, that wasn't difficult. I should have just did it. Just the thought of it.
Yeah, that discipline is hard to to have.
Yeah, man.
I don't really know how to find more of that, but it's really key to have.
It's just mental. I think you just gotta just do it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. We totally sidetracked, but hey.
That's the beauty. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of having this show. We can go wherever we want for as long as we want, you know?
That I seen the episode last week with Christmas, and he was
yeah,
much talking about that, like a podcast just being that. And that's always, if I want to do a podcast, that's how I want to do it. Like, because all the podcasts I listen to, that's kind of how they do it.
Well, I think that
Combo.
if someone's listening to an OG Swaggerdick podcast, they're already fans of OG Swaggerdick. They already listened to Flaccid Rap. They are, you know what I'm saying? If they're coming here to watch, they're already engaged with you 9 times out of 10. And so where else are you going to get a situation where we can have a long form discussion about what we're talking about right now, you know, the darkness behind comedy, or, you know, being thoughtful, and all these different things that, you know, going through some traumatic situation and coming out on the other side, addressing your problems, because if you don't, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to hear that, you know?
Exactly. So I have this thing.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I have this thing where, like, so I don't really drink like that. And I, like, just recently, the past couple of years, picked up smoking more often. But it's like every night before, like, I go to bed type thing. But I always had this thing, like, when I'm really going through something, like I don't want to do any type of, like, drug or alcohol. Like, I don't want to drink or smoke, because it's just like, I want to get through this. I don't want anything that's going to distract these feelings.
I feel like that's very aware of you. Like, you sound like someone who's really taken a lot of time with themselves to, like, figure this shit out and kind of come up with the tools in your you know, that you have when you have to go through something. Because I think people lean into the substances when they're going through something. What made you think, I'm not going to do that when I'm dealing with something? I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to smoke.
You know, everybody has a family member that, you know, has those issues.
Yeah.
So I have family members that go through that, and friends, and I see what that does. And I've never really, like, been too, like, fond of it, but, you know, we all indulge. But especially in those moments, because I see what it does, I'm just like, I'm all set.
Yeah, like, I think with substances, if you're taking it because of something, that's a different situation than you're taking it to explore what this thing might make you feel like.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes, you know, especially with smoking in general, like, you can go through something, like, you can have an argument with somebody, and you might smoke, and you might totally see the other person's perspective.
Absolutely.
Like, there's been an instance where, like, one time me and my girl got into an argument, and I ended up smoking before we went to bed, and I just thought about it, and I was like, damn, you know, I can see her side.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, sometimes it does that, which is good, but also, like, it's not something you should depend on.
Right.
You got to kind of, like, think about that yourself.
Yeah, well, weed is one of those things that's just very
it's a gateway drug.
Maybe, but it does open your mind to see things from a more calm perspective.
Yeah, it can either do that or make you very paranoid.
Yeah, or make you super paranoid, which makes you probably not want to fight either, though, because you're like, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
that sounds like too much anxiety. You know,
the anxiety part of weed is so funny, because, like, you're just like, I'm stuck.
Literally.
It's like a dark humor thing where it's just like
like, there is no end to this at any point. This is what my life is going to be like for the rest of my life.
I tweeted this one time where I was just like, when you're paranoid and high, it's just like, you have 35 cents in your account. You're gonna kill everybody in the room. Like,
when was the first time you smoked weed?
I had just got a job. I was 19, And there were these things called waves, guys. A wave is when you and your friends all go to a house and you guys smoke and drink. And you probably do more drugs now that I think about it if you're like into that, but me and my friends weren't into that. So they were all smoking and I was getting ready to pass a blunt to somebody and I ended up smoking. Well, I ended up hitting it.
What was that like?
It wasn't like anything.
Did you get high?
No, I didn't get high.
No. What was the first time you got high?
I was smoking with my girlfriend at the time and her cousin. And that was just like, it felt, I don't know what the hell that was, but it just felt like, felt like vibrations. That's how I could best describe it. It felt like vibrations.
Yeah, I think the first time I smoked weed, I was in like 9th grade, and me and my friend smoked weed in his basement for the first time that we stole from his older brother. And we smoked it and ran around the town for like 2 hours chasing each other, like essentially hallucinating.
Yeah. Yo, that's mad funny.
Yeah. And then our third friend was with us, and he didn't do it because he didn't want to do it, and he was just like chaperoning us, and we were like 13 years old, not knowing what the fuck was going on.
That had to be hilarious.
And then the next time, we had gotten some weed from this kid who all of us kind of thought was just like this cool, like he was like, there's always that one kid when you're in like fucking middle school, like early high school, that's like far ahead of everybody else. Like he's fucking around with drugs and shit like that, and you're like, what is wrong? Really, the kid just has a lot of fucking issues.
But at the time, seems like the coolest kid ever.
At the time, you're like, damn, like this kid is like crazy. Like what? Like he's like selling weed or something like that. And so we ended up getting weed from this kid, which I mean, I can't even tell you how disgusting this weed was now. Like it was wet. Like you touched it and it was wet. Like it was like, I think it was just mold that we were smoking.
Oh my gosh.
I can still, and we smoked it out of like some pipe, and I can just still smell it to this day because it was just different. It was not like what you would normally smell when you're smoking weed.
Yo, that's just so funny. Buying drugs as a kid had to be fun. I never had that experience and I never will.
Yeah.
But that shit had to be like that. That's a great fun story to have. Like
buying weed like when you're a kid? Yeah.
Yeah. Like damn. I know I'm like, we're in 2021. There's definitely a kid I know that has bought weed.
Well, it's different now though. You know, it's legal in Massachusetts, California, wherever. It's
like all of these kids have not like been introduced to like Reggie. They have all just smoked like medical.
Yeah, everyone's smoking really good shit now, and that's what's so funny is this shit was beyond Reggie. It was Reginald.
They'll never have that humble experience. That's why all these hot take. That's why all these kids are spoiled because they've never had regular weed.
Yeah, well, they certainly don't, for the most part, know what it's like to buy a gram of weed that you have no idea where it came from.
And it's from somebody's sack.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have to like be very discreet with it because like it's illegal.
Right. Yeah, well, you're 14 years old and you're super fucking paranoid. Like, you don't have a car. You're just at like a park somewhere. Just like, what's up, bro? $20.
Your eyes are probably red as shit. You don't think anybody thinks you're high, but everybody's like, that kid's high.
Yeah.
Damn. Yo. Yo, this is mad funny.
Good times, man. Good times. And I smoked weed again at a party around that same time. And that was the first party I ever went to, too, when I was in high school. Like, this kid had like a house party because his parents were away. And
yo, so he was definitely like the cool kid.
It was the same kid. It was the same kid that I smoked weed with the first time in his basement. Then, like a couple weeks later, he had a house party. So you know, that was my guy. I won't say his name because I don't want to fuck up whatever he's doing. But but it's my guy, and so he had a party a couple weeks later, and this was like the first time we ever had a party because we'd like just entered high school or something, and the whole entire school showed up, because if one kid's got a party, it just trickles down and everybody hears about it. All of a sudden there's like, every single grade is in there. And we're smoking weed out on this porch situation. And there's probably 150 people in this party. And people are, just being super loud. A lot of different houses like around this house. All of a sudden the cops pull up.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good time when the cops pull up, because you could just run.
Yeah, well, but 5 minutes after you just smoked weed for like the third time in your life, and you're just feeling like this is phenomenal. I'm with all these upperclassmen smoking weed out of this. Like, I didn't even know what a bubbler was. This kid's got this crazy bubbler talking about, I collect glass, bro. Like, shit's crazy. And all of a sudden, the cops are knocking on the door. There's like beer cans in the windowsill, and so they come in. So I'm out. I'm on this like back porch thing. So I go around the back and just run through the woods with like 5 other people, and we just like lay in the woods, just hiding.
Lay in the woods, and you're high.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on, man?
So you're just laying in the woods high as a kid.
And I was like, I'm good off smoking weed for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
not the way, man.
That is hilarious. So I was always a sober kid. So like if anything like that happened, I would be the one just running away, laughing, because it was fun to run from cops. In high school, I don't know.
Because you were sober.
It seemed like the funnest thing ever, just to like, all the cops in here, let's run.
Yo, it actually is so crazy. Running from the cops was like a rite of passage when you were in high school.
Yeah, it was like, fuck that, let's go.
Yo, if you get caught though, you're fucked. Like,
yeah, see, I've never gotten caught.
No, I never did either. And I ran from the cops a lot when I was a teenager in different scenarios. But now thinking back on it, it's like, man, like you were really risking a lot for not a lot.
Especially in because I didn't really get out like that in high school. I started to around like my junior and senior year. So like in those type of situations, because my mom was very like, I don't think she understood me as a kid necessarily.
Yeah.
But she kind of like thought I would be like my dad in a sense. So she just thought I would just be a regular kid. So every time I came home from something, she would smell me to see if I smoked. And I was like, I don't smoke, like whatever. Like, oh my, like you don't trust me. So in those type of situations, if I would have got arrested with the type of shit that was going on, that would have been bad. I probably would have been the end of my jerking career.
Yeah, so that fear kept you kind of grounded on not doing anything when you were in high school.
Yeah, pretty much. I would do that. Yeah, but then
it just motivated you if you were running to definitely not get caught.
Yeah, it was just kind of fun to run, and I was like, I'm not doing anything anyway, so I'm really just running because like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you go, I'm just here. Like, I'm not doing anything. Test me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was such a different like lifetime, especially in Boston, because like we had crews. So like in the city we had crews. I was in a crew called SOK, and then I had TRP. Yeah. And SOK was a fairly big crew, and a lot of people knew them. And then they had beef with like another crew. They had so funny. First person I met out of everybody, actually, no, it's a lie. Stiz.
Yeah.
We knew each other when we were younger, but his group of people did not like my group of friends at all.
So these groups
I was late to the party, so they all fucked with me. One of the first words I heard Stiz say was like, yo, man, real shit, man, I fuck with you, man. You cool. Everybody else you with was whack. Like,
wait, when was this? You were at a party?
No, we were leaving a talent show.
Okay.
We were leaving some school, and his friends were like making fun of me because I was in this crew, and I was just like, who are you guys? It was one specifically, I was just like, because there was this one kid that was a shit talker, and I was just like, who are you? Like, you have been talking shit since I've met you, and I don't know you. I don't know what's going on with you guys. This is not real. We're all in high school. Give it up.
Right.
But he was just a troll, ultimately. And that was like one of my first interactions with Stiz. But Stiz is like, we weren't as close as we are now. which is funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny thinking about how close we are now too, because I'm like, if somebody would have told me in 2010, like, yo, you and Stiz would be like brothers and you guys would be rapping in 2015, I would have been like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's what's so funny. When you're a kid, you are so stuck in your ways. You're like, this is my life forever. These friends that I have, this situation that I'm in, like, this means the world. But it really doesn't mean anything.
So many situations, like,
yeah.
Oh, I was such a fucking simp. So I would have a crush on a girl and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, she doesn't like me.
Yeah, it's the biggest deal in the world.
Or she likes me, she has a boyfriend and she is toying with my emotions.
Yeah.
And I thought life was just like that, and like, okay, I'm graduating high school, I gotta get a job, and oh, me and my friends are jerking. What is this gonna, like, what's gonna happen with this?
Yeah.
And now I'm like 29 and I'm like, all right, I got some bills to pay, man.
You're like, fuck, I wish it could be so simple as to just be worrying about some stupid situation like that and thinking about the fact that I'm graduating in 3 weeks or whatever.
Like, yo, I gotta pass science.
Yeah. So when you talk to me a little bit about the videos that you guys would make growing up.
All right, so we would make jerking videos, and for those of you guys that don't know, jerking is a dance where it's a lot of stuff. You hit the reject, you dip. It's a lot of things. Hit the Dougie. You go watch a tutorial video, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
But if you're not old enough to know what jerking was, then I don't know.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
And we would also make forcing it videos. So forcing it is kind of like overdoing it. So if somebody says something OD or somebody says something crazy, it's just like, you forced it. Or like, if you do something crazy, it's like, yo, you forced it. So
and if you ever heard that term, I'm absolutely positive that you guys came up with that term in the United States.
I low-key think it's a Boston thing.
Yeah.
I think that, and OD is a Boston thing as well, I feel like.
Really?
Either Boston or New York.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of both. But
I feel like, oh, you forced it became terminology around the whole entire country for a while.
Yeah.
But I feel like you guys started saying that.
But then I'll say it to people out of like town and they're like, what is that? Like, you forcing it.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain things to us because we're from here that seems like it's everywhere, but then you talk to people out of like town or like out of the state and they're like, what?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, you don't know what that means. But we make videos just wilding out pretty much. Just imagine like the Eric Andre show, but like teens, and like some of it's distasteful as hell. We would pretty much be like wilding out, yelling at foreigners, or me opening taxi doors to taxi drivers after accusing them of not giving me my right amount of money back.
Oh my God.
Just random things like that. And one was so bad because there was a Haitian lady on a train, and Darnell, as who you went to school with, he's Haitian. So he was saying like fucked up things in patois, and she spazzed out on a train. It was the funniest thing ever. Oh my goodness. It was so funny because of the reactions, like in the video. But Darnell's dad caught wind of it, brought him, I think, into like his office. Someone was like, so I've seen you friends have been doing, like, you and your friends have been doing this and turning the video. And he called Joel like, yo, Darnell. Like, oh, we got to take the video down now.
That's such a good impression.
Yeah, pretty much make videos like that. Just, it's kind of like what I do on Vine and Instagram. Well, what I did on Vine and do on Instagram, or used to do.
Yeah. But
like times 10.
Did you ever get into any other crazy situations when you guys were making those videos? Because I feel like that was prank videos before people were doing prank videos.
Yeah, it was pretty much prank videos. That's what it was. And one time a guy threatened to beat me up. He was like big and jacked. He was on a train, and I wasn't really doing anything. It was my homie.
Yeah.
Like, I was asking this lady, what are you reading? Like, just like looking at her book, and my homie just always had to be the one OD. He would he turned her page, and I was just like, all right, bro, like, this is too far. Like this is now you're in her personal. Like we're already in her personal space enough. Like as is. Now you're touching her book like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay away from this. And the guy's like, back away. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything.
He was just someone that just saw you guys doing that?
Yeah. And he was, do you really want to go with me? Like, he was just like really going crazy. And I was just like, nah, like I don't actually.
That's the thing that's tough, man, is that there's a lot of crazy people out there. So you don't know what's going to happen that's a dangerous game that you play when you start fucking around with people in public.
But the thing is, like, the way I go about it in such, I feel like personally, I go about it in such a light way that, like, plenty of videos, I've done stuff and then I've, like, said something to the people after and it's been, like, a positive, like, you know,
right.
Out, like, we're gone. But when you have people that don't know what to do or, like, they kind of overdo it, that's when it's really bad.
Yeah. Really... I think there's a huge difference between doing it tastefully and doing something that actually entertains everybody around you in public. If you do something in public, like I feel like you've done videos on public transportation or whatever, like, and I feel like people would enjoy that because it's like, oh, this random kind of funny skit happened in front of me today. And it's like seeing some random show in the middle of your day, you know? Yeah.
But even then I'm still like now, there was a couple of years that I was really like struggling to figure shit out because like I kind of knew like after 2014, 2015, like in that little area, I was just getting older and I was just like, this just doesn't feel like comfortable doing for me anymore. Like it was just a lot of trolls started to surface online, just doing a lot. And I was just like, honestly, I don't want to be that guy that's just known as like the troll. Like, I don't want, like, of course, I want a TV show where I could do all this shit, 100%. Yeah. But that's a different thing. I don't want to be that person that's just known online as just, like, just trolling. So I kind of just was, like, thinking about that throughout the years, or, like, just trying to figure out what I can do. And, you know, I still troll, but, like, too, it's a certain type of trolling. It's not, like, the forcing it trolls anymore, like.
Well, I think when you're a kid, those type of things are just so fun, man.
Yeah, you know? I don't want to be the 30-year-old guy that's just doing this for Instagram, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny when you're a kid, and it's not funny when you're 30, but you progressed. Your evolution of comedy and entertainment has progressed over the years, and now, you know, going on the Eric Andre show and doing all that, like you've stepped up to that next league of entertainment.
Exactly.
That natural progression. What was that like, doing the show?
That was amazing because like he literally is doing everything I want to do. Like down to the movie that's coming out. It's like what we used to do in the street.
Right.
And like I want to do that, but I want to do it on a professional like level. I don't want to do it
fully produced.
I don't want to do it anymore like via like Instagram or just, you know, just doing it because you look crazy. And if it doesn't feel right to me, I don't want to do it. And that type of stuff doesn't feel right to me just doing it, you know, if that makes sense. But on the Eric Andre show, it was just like, it felt like home.
Yeah. You're like in your element.
I can do this forever.
Yeah.
Like even like everything he's doing, like that's like the goal I have. Like I would love to do that. Like I said, down to the movie, it's like Bad Grandpa. It's like Jackass, you know, it's kind of like you're doing stunts, but like it's on a professional mode.
Of course.
But it was great. I have no complaints about it. I went in, first person I saw was Lil Yachty. It was kind of funny. He was getting suited up. Then I went in, Zach Fox, Danny Brown, who else? Trippie Redd. Murs was there, and last time I met Murs was like 2013. But we've always been like cool since then. So like it was kind of crazy seeing each other. He was just like,
how'd you meet Murs? Did you meet him in Boston or?
Yeah.
At a show or?
No, Murs had a meet and greet here. And I went to his meet and greet and I had an LA hat on, and he was like, yo, you got an LA hat on. And they introduced me to him. And he found out my name was OG Swaggerdick, and he was like, what's your Instagram? He followed me, and we were just kind of cool since.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, but like that was before we were really doing music. That was like around the time where you were just like, you were getting ready for your album and stuff.
Yeah,
and
right.
Started, so
yeah.
He was just like, yo, like we're both at the Eric Andre show. Like, this
Full
is,
circle.
I literally watched you do this, you
Right.
know? It was like, I literally watched you and Stiz. Like, I met you guys before you guys were really doing music, and like to see where you guys are going and like, what are you guys, to see what you guys are doing is just nuts.
That's always that type of thing is always so cool when you are doing something, whether it's music or any other career, and you meet somebody who's already done what you're trying to do, and
Yeah.
then years later you see them again, or you get kind of somewhat not necessarily on their level because people are legends, but
Mhm.
you get to a point where you're a professional too. And then
Yeah.
there's that mutual respect amongst someone that you looked up to as a pioneer or someone that you never thought you could attain that level of like professionalism. But it happens all the time. And anyone who's successful in anything will tell you that they had a moment like that. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I want to be like this one day. I want to be like this person. I met this person at a meet and greet and I want to be cool with them on their level 5 years from now, go and have a drink with them somewhere or whatever. That's absolutely doable because these unattainable things, these things you think are unattainable are absolutely attainable. And then you get there and you're like, oh shit.
Yo, it was so crazy. Like, I used to listen to Murr's songs used to come on during I think it was an NBA 2005,
Yeah.
2000. It was NBA Live.
Yeah.
Murs used to come on, right? Then I end up meeting him. And then we're at the Eric Andre show together and we're both on it. And I'm like a rapper and an entertainer now. So like that, when you think about it like that, I'm just like, yo, that's like, I never thought I would meet Murs in my life for one.
Right.
Then I never thought it would be cool. But then like, I never thought we would be here together, you know? Like it's just kind of crazy just to think about.
Yeah, I have a similar story, and it's funny because Murs very much in the same world, and they've done a lot of collaborations too. When I was growing up in high school, I was a huge fan of Atmosphere, and particularly Slug from Atmosphere, the main dude who's the rapper. I just like looked up to him stylistically, wanted to be like that musically, just loved that style of music, and that's really one of my huge inspirations, especially early on in my career. And so when I was 17 years old, starting music, the idea of being able to connect with him in some sort of way or just be on that level of an independent artist that's successful and has your own little fan base over here just like he did, and he built this crazy infrastructure in Minnesota, and that whole entire idea was just like amazing to me, and that's what I wanted to kind of create, and that's what I wanted to create with like Lamp City and kind of starting in Boston and doing all this stuff. And so years go by and I end up doing what I'm doing, and I'm touring and doing music, and so then I end up meeting someone who works at Rhymesayers, the record label that he started, and I get really close with her. She's one of my close friends now. And so I do a show in Minnesota. She's there, a couple of Rhymesayers people are there. I get to go to the headquarters in Minnesota and check out the offices and get a bunch of merch, and I got the MF Doom album there and whatever.
Yeah,
And then
I
that
remember
night,
that.
yeah, were you with me when we did that?
We were on tour in
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Exactly. And so, yeah, so we were on the road together, and so then we do the show, and I ended up covering one of his songs in Minnesota that night, and he emailed me the track, and I like just the instrumental, and so I covered it, and it was just this moment of like, I've always wanted to kind of just try and get to a level where I felt like I could almost be a peer to someone like that. And again, like I'm not saying that I'm on that level, but when you have a little win like that, it just is so rewarding because you're like, damn, like I really am here doing this. It doesn't feel real,
Yeah. And sometimes in the moment it doesn't feel like that either. It just feels like a regular time.
Right.
You look back and really think about stuff and you're just like, damn, like I did that. Like I have these stories like I could tell my kids these stories, Like I could tell people these stories, and it's nuts. A lot of people don't get to do that. And especially doing music, a lot of people don't get to that level that you have gotten, or, so
yeah,
every major thing that happens is like, yo, this is actually crazy because somebody right now is in their house making so many songs, and they're trying to get at least like their goal is to get like 100 people to listen to their song. I'm like, I have like 2,000 people who listen to mine. Like, that's crazy, you know, like just little things like that, you know, you got to be very grateful for, and you got to just kind of learn like, damn, like everything it's all amazing, all the achievements.
Absolutely, man. It's a blessing to have people that want to listen to your music or consume anything that you're doing. There's so much out there right now that people can consume content wise, music, whatever it is, YouTube videos. So to have any portion of people enjoying what you're doing and interacting with you is just an absolute blessing.
Yeah.
And as someone who creates and has the luxury of having people who listen to me and give me a platform to do something, no matter how big it is or small it is, you know, I'm just always grateful because those people allow you to live the life that you live, period.
Yeah.
And I think it's so much more rewarding when it's independent too, because there's no financier, no company, no infrastructure behind it other than what you've built and your partners that you have or whatever. And it's just this direct relationship with people who are listening to your music or watching your videos or watching your podcast or whatever you're doing. And it's this nice little ecosystem that we're all a part of and everybody benefits from, you know?
It's just, it's kind of like what you told us during one of our first shows we had. You were just like, yo, we're going to go out there. We're just going to, you know, show everybody that's here a good time. Like, that's what we're here for. You know, let's just make sure we do this and we just remember this and just to like be grateful that we're able to do this. And it was so true to what you said, because like people, sometimes I feel like as artists, we're so like, we have such a big goal in mind and we're not satisfied till we get there, that we take things like a fan reaching out for granted. I know I can personally say I did. Like there'll be times a bunch of fans used to reach out and I just kind of like, I didn't respond necessarily. It wasn't like I don't want to talk to them thing. It was more so just like
you might have missed it or something. Yeah.
Like, mentally just like, thank you, you know, or I don't want too much people in my DMs. But you kind of just learn to grow. As you're growing more, you kind of learn to like this person didn't have to reach out to me, you know?
Yeah.
They made this choice. They made this choice to reach out to me. They made this choice to tell me how fire my music was. And I would talk to people, but I wouldn't talk to everybody just because. But now I try and make it more of an effort now to like talk to everyone and just, you know, thank everyone and try and do more of what I can, because it's literally what we're here for. And it's just like, there's somebody that would kill to be in my position right now. And I'm not even at a level that I want to be or a level that they think I am, but I have more opportunity than them, and they would kill for this. And, you know, just got to be really grateful.
Yeah, that's so true. I always think about it when I think about stuff like that. And I think you're right. It's just human nature that, you know, you might miss a couple things, you know, but we can always strive to be better at, you know, if someone reaches out to you, you want to hit them back. And I try and do that as much as I can. What I found really helpful now is I have this community thing, this like text message number where people can be a part of this text message thing. And so I can hit people directly on that now. And it's so much better than Instagram DM where you might miss something or, you know, it's combined with a bunch of other shit and you just, you know, you're not responding as well on Instagram just because you might miss it.
Yeah.
But the text message thing is so amazing. You sit down for an hour and just actually connect with people who want to connect with you, and they have to opt in to do it.
Yeah.
And so if someone is choosing like, I want to be a part of this text message thing, then you know that it's a person that really values the type of stuff that you're making, and that's a really important person to build a real relationship with and to connect with. And so I've been trying to do that with this thing, just reach out to different people on there and just have real conversations and just get to know people, because that type of thing is what allowed me to do music in the first place. Like
exactly
adding friends on Facebook from different parts of the country and being like, hey, what's up? I'm a 17-year-old kid. I just started making music. Check out this YouTube video I did of this song. Let me know what you think. Oh, share it with your friends at your random high school in Idaho or whatever. That's literally what I would do to get my first little bit of fans. And I have like 5,000 friends on my personal Facebook from back then, from just friending random people on Facebook to try and talk to them and be like, yo, listen to my music.
I remember you told us that story too.
Yeah. And that's how it really started. That's how I first got these like regional pockets of fans. And to this day, I'm more well known in certain areas than others, because those were the areas that really took off early when I started messaging people on Facebook, like places like Minnesota and Chicago and New Jersey and obviously Massachusetts too. But yeah, I always think about the reaching out thing, and I flip it and I think, who have I reached out to in my life? You know, what content creator or artist or creative person have I reached out to? I love Casey Neistat. He's a YouTuber and he makes these like, you know, amazing vlogs. And especially back in like 2015, 2016, he was just daily vlogging every single day in New York. And I was living in New York at the time. And I was just like, this dude's the fucking man. Like, he's just on his shit, super disciplined, hard worker. Like, it pumps me up to watch him do shit. And so I've sent him emails and ended up connecting with him and like tried to be like, hey, let's collaborate on stuff. I want to get him on the podcast. And I've talked to him a bunch of times now. But I reached out just as a fan. And so I think about that and I'm like, I felt compelled to reach out to him because that dude really meant so much to me in my life. And so if people are reaching out to you or someone's reaching out to me, like, they're probably not doing that unless that really means something. So that connection is super important. And the value there is everything. And so it's just awesome, man. I think that's the beauty of making music or doing anything online, is being able to connect with all these people that you would have never connected with before. And it's not gassing yourself up. It's not like, oh, this is so cool that people are fans of my music, so they reach out to me. Like, no, that's not what it's about. I love that I can make music. I make music about things that are personal to me. And when people connect with it, that's just incredible. And so, you know, I always try and flip it and think, I've done that with people. And so if someone is messaging like that to me, I understand the value there. And we're all just humans, man. And what's so cool is we can connect easier now than ever before. So
exactly.
You know?
Another thing was too, I didn't think responding was as important. Like I didn't because I just like think of it as me. But I realized over the years, like, I've had people like reach out to me about like real deep stuff. Like somebody made a Twitter specifically just to message me about them being very depressed and like feeling like they were at the end of whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is so weird, but like, I'm the perfect person to do this with because like, I could totally help you, you know?
Right.
Like I kind of just wrote them a deep message back, and like I would do that to certain like if it was a like long message or a deep message or like more than, you know, a sentence or whatever, I would reach back, but I didn't really think it like mattered to them. And literally like a response to people will change somebody's life or day. Like I realize that more and more now. Like I have people like, yo, the fact that you like actually respond to me or respond to us, like you're like the realest person ever, like that.
Right.
That says a lot to me, you know?
100%.
It matters more than you think as an artist.
Well, I think that there's this old misconception that being an artist and trying to get famous doing music or famous doing something means that you have to be disconnected from your following. And you know, that it's corny to be connected to all these people. And that's just such an ass backwards, you know, old Hollywood, fake, horrible type of dynamic that is just so not relevant to this day and age. Because at the end of the day, there's more public figures and famous people than ever before, because now we have social media and all this stuff. And so there's just no time for that. Like, everybody knows that everyone's a human being. There's no more allure of being like a Marilyn Monroe or this, you know, huge celebrity, or even like a Madonna or, you know, just celebrity Michael Jackson. These people that we grew up idolizing, and Michael Jackson's got some other complexities there, but you know, everybody knows everybody now, and you are a lot more connected to people's personal life now than ever before. You're seeing celebrities in their house cooking food, doing whatever. So that mystery is that's not a part of the idea of kind of celebrity anymore. It's
Very
changed.
I can do that now.
Yeah.
Like Frank Ocean's probably like the only person.
No, and there are certainly exceptions to people who are such great artists that their mystery is really so valuable, and I think The Weeknd is kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Frank Ocean, obviously, there's a lot of examples of it for sure, but you have to be so great.
Yeah, you have to be to
actually still cut through and be like that.
Yeah, it's only like very few people that can do that, but also like I also learned throughout the years of doing this that you just got to do what you feel too. And a lot of times I would feel the need to respond and won't do it because there's certain things that come with like being a rapper, like writing 2 verses. I thought I always had to write 2 verses, and I hated writing 2 verses.
Yeah.
One time I should have been writing 1 verse because now literally nobody can make 2 verses. You know,
a minute 30 is the best song.
That's always the type of songs for me personally that I wanted to make, but I used to think I had to make 2 verses or you know. And I think that's why this new project, Flaccid Rap, is so good because I did what I felt. Like the project is 10 songs, but it's 17 minutes long.
Right. Like, but that's so perfect because it's like, oh, I can put on this whole project for 15 minutes in the car and get the whole vibe of the project and just consume it. And it's so perfect for the way that we consume stuff right now.
Exactly. And it has a replay value, and it's just like it wasn't done like that on purpose. It was just done like I just felt like I wrote everything in those songs, and it was just or freestyled, and it was there and it was done, and it was mixed down to a T to how I wanted it. Everything about that project came out perfect, I would say.
Yeah. I love that. What was the inspiration for the project? And why'd you call it Flaccid Rap?
Flaccid Rap, so my name's OG Swaggerdick, obviously, and we used to always make this joke after Chance the Rapper dropped Acid Rap that I would drop Flaccid Rap. So it was a joke forever. It was just a joke. And Maka has been trying to work with me since 2013. I remember him showing me an email when we finally became friends. We became like when I moved back from LA, so 2016 maybe. And I just could never record to his beats as much as I loved them. I loved his beats so much, but I just could not. I don't know why. Maybe it was like me traveling from bus to his house. He lived all the way in like Watertown, and I lived in the city. So like I traveled by buses almost 2 hours. Every time I got to his house, I was easily tired.
Yeah.
I was ready to take a nap. But
like the time you were supposed to meet me at Boston University to play basketball.
Hey, yo, what did I get there? I got there mad late, didn't I?
You got there 3 hours late.
So
we'd already played for 3 hours.
What was I doing?
I don't even know.
I don't even know.
But I think you took the bus and it was hella delayed or something. But you had come a long way to get there.
Yeah. That too. Massachusetts, and they're like, the weekend is when we choose to like shut down the buses and like make everything a shuttle or like shut down trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
so you were connected with him.
He finally sent me a beat that was like I was freestyling to it, and the song I came up with just didn't hit. I just didn't remember it. And one night I put the beat on and I just started doing this weird voice, and I just had a weird thought in my head, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna record this. And that ended up being the song You Can't. And I was like, yo, I like this a lot. And it sounds very different from anything I've done. And he started sending me more beats. I think after that, I recorded Might Get Rich. I also did something very different on that. And I was just like, yo, this is crazy. And he sent me more beats. And that ended up turning into Do What I Do and Derek Fisher. And I have a lot of inspiration from like Cash Money and like No Limit. Like ever since I started doing music, I always thought about going to Master P route to just like being totally independent and just kind of just getting it like that and just learning the business, because I was just always like, I don't want anybody to like know my business, and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I would always notice, like, even before doing music, that like artists would have like beef with record labels and managers and all sorts of people, and people would like steal money, and I
Yeah, and
was,
it
it was
stems
just
from a lack of knowing the business, right?
yeah, like it seems like it's a lot of that. Like people just don't know what they're getting into, and I'm just like, I want to know
Right.
everything I'm getting into, like
Right.
100%.
Well,
So
that's
I've
why
always,
Ice Cube was such a pioneer because he saw the writing on the wall. He was like, these people are fucking us over,
yeah,
you
and
know?
he left,
And he
and
left, which caused like so much drama, but it was really just over him realizing
yeah,
what they would all come to realize eventually.
yeah, and we ended up getting the Friday trilogy out of him, leaving,
Yeah.
which is when you really think about it.
True.
But yeah, like I just always wanted to know the business, so I've always had inspiration from Master P and Cash Money, and just like I just didn't let myself I always had to think of thinking too much. I was like, if I rap like them or like take inspiration from them, I would it would seem like I'm copying or like biting them.
Yeah.
And I just finally just did what I felt, and it came out as like it was me. But you can tell like the inspiration and like where you get it from, So this project was like it's everything to me, because I kind of just like I found myself more, and I found my worth, and like everything journalist, and I just let go and actually did it, instead of thinking too much.
Yeah.
And that was the first time in music that I've done that.
Yeah. Imitation is one of the best forms of creativity. There's a difference, you know, I think people worry a lot when they're creating something that I don't want to copy this thing or whatever. But there's no need to worry about any of that because we all draw from inspiration. If you're directly copying someone, painting the exact same painting that someone painted, or
Yeah.
doing the exact same rhyme cadence for the whole entire verse or whatever it is, then fine, that's one thing. But every creative person is inspired by something, and every idea has already been thought of. And
Yep.
so
Exactly.
it's your own unique spin on something that inspired you, and that's how the best art is created, and that's how some of the best songs that I ever made were created. And anyone that tries to say like I don't want to copy this style or whatever is lying to themselves, because every single creative person draws from something for inspiration, and
Yeah.
typically it's something that's very close to what they're doing, that got them there in the first place.
Literally. You think about it, that's how like somebody like Drake is so great, because
Yeah,
they inspire
absolutely.
everything. And people say like he's copying certain people's flows or whatever, but it's like, nah, he's literally inspired by everything he loves, and he doesn't think about it too much. He just does it.
And what's so cool about Drake is that exactly he's not just inspired by one type of thing. He's inspired by a number of different things: hip hop, R&B, Houston,
Yeah.
all this different stuff that leads to this.
Like,
Yeah, this incredibly just diverse group of songs on all of his projects.
mhm.
But it's done in an authentic way because he's straightforward about it.
Yeah, and it's him, and
Yeah,
he's rapping about his life. It's not
yeah.
about, so
And that's
yeah.
like when I go back to the whole like atmosphere thing. Like I got this new song that's about to come out that I wrote about my dad, and it's got a real like atmosphere vibe to it.
Mhm.
And I just try and lean into that because it's like that's what inspired me.
Yeah.
And I think there's room for me to make that type of music and know that I'm paying homage to something that I grew up on, that I love.
Mhm.
And I think people will understand that. And I'm always straightforward about that. Yes, it did inspire me to make this song. I wanted it to feel like that vibe.
That's what's fire though. Like, especially looking at somebody like you, like your biggest songs are like very introspective and very you, and that's like it's so dope. Because I feel like your best stuff comes when you're doing it from the heart. Like,
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that, man. It's always been a very interesting thing that I've had to navigate in my career because people want that depth because some of my biggest songs have been that.
yeah,
And so then you start to get in your head like I have to match that. I have to go to
exactly.
that place in my mind. And there have been times in my life where I'm just not there.
Yeah,
My life's feeling good. I'm happy. I just want to like have a good time and party and talk about smoking weed. And then people are like, this is corny, you know, we want to hear something more deep. And
yeah, but it's like if that's your life at the moment, you know, that's your
yeah,
life.
exactly. And that's what's so cool is like, I'm so grateful to have people that have just like rocked with everything that I've done in my career, and just been able to build this little fan base that, you know, will support me with everything that I do. But now, you know, again, coming up, and I dropped this new song, and it's like a really important song to me because it's about my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel again like I felt when I was 19 and I wrote Better Days, and I was in a kind of emotional place in my head, but I
Yeah.
didn't feel like that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just got there again recently because of going through that whole situation. But
Yeah.
for a long time, I wasn't in that headspace, and so for me to make music that was, you know, kind of very deep and emotional like that wasn't authentic to where I was.
Yeah, it wouldn't be real to you. It wouldn't feel real to you.
Right.
It would be. It's kind of like in the sense of when I was talking about me making like forcement videos now. Like if I was to do it on it just it wouldn't feel right. It feels forced, and people can see that. And naturally, like when people see that, they're gonna say something about it. But also in the same breath, like you can't impress everyone. So like when you do make those songs when you're happy and you know you just want to rap about smoking and you know things like that, it's just like that's what's going on in your life right now. And not everybody's going to be happy about it, but like hey, you know, the ones that really rock with you are going to be happy about it, and like as long as it's authentic to you, it's going to come off as that, you know? Like
Yeah,
people
I
can,
learned that lesson the hard way, and I feel like that's the best lesson that anybody can think about when they're doing this type of thing somewhat
yeah.
independently. For you trying to continue your career and go to that point where you can be on that level of producing a show or whatever, leaning into what you enjoy and what works for the people that have always been with you
Mm-hmm.
is always going to lead to more success than trying to please this bigger group of people that aren't in your,
Yeah.
you know, in your kind of following.
Well, it's so crazy
And
because
you
like
spend so much time trying to like get those people in,
yeah.
when really you should just focus on what you have and what works for you,
Yo, that literally
and it grows from there.
that goes back to so many things, especially like something as little as like also like the responding to fans thing, like that.
Yeah.
It's also a thing where you're trying to reach so much more people and you already have those people and you're kind of just like, all right, I've already said like, or I said thank you to you, or like I'm just, you know, you're just so focused that you kind of forget what you have in front of you and you gotta like
Right.
really you can't like if you take that for granted, that'll really mess you up.
Well, think about it this way: if you had a restaurant, right, and you're gonna like this because I know you have a food background. If you had a restaurant and you're serving 1,000 customers every single week, right? You have to serve those 1,000 customers with incredible quality, attention to detail. The wait staff is on point. The back of the house is on point. The food is coming out every single time perfect.
Yep.
And you spend all your time focusing on those 1,000 people that are eating at your restaurant. If you spend all your time trying to get 10,000 more people to come into the restaurant and try your food, then all of a sudden the quality of your food is going down. The quality and the morale of your wait staff is bad,
Yep.
and people aren't enjoying their experience when they're in your restaurant. And
Yep.
so you get ahead of yourself focusing on trying to reach more and more people to come into what you're doing, when that demand will get created if you just focus on the serving, you know, the quality that, you know, the best quality thing that you can do with what you already have. That's how you really create demand.
Exactly. And if you keep trying to focus on those 10,000 people, those 1,000 people might go to 100 people, you know?
Exactly.
You know?
No, and I certainly feel like I've made that mistake for sure in my career in different points.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had the realization of how important what you've already built is, and just
Yeah.
kind of paying attention to that one thing and your kind of core competency.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. I feel like a lot of artists take that for granted, but it matters. I think it matters if you catch on to it.
Well,
Like
I
it's
think
one.
the pressure too, if you have like a label or whatever, there's all and I started off, as you know, I had a major label deal when I first started. So
I was gonna ask
I
you about
was,
that.
yeah, I was always told, you know, when I dropped my first album, they said it has to have 7,000 downloads on iTunes,
Mm-hmm.
and it got 6, and they were like, it has to hit 7,000, and I'm like, at the time, I'm thinking I need to figure out how to expand this. Like I need to change my image a little bit to reach more people or whatever. And so you're getting this these voices in the back of your head from these different interests that are
Yeah.
trying to tell you need to expand. So when you're doing music and you kind of have that in your head, you're constantly thinking like, is this a song that could go big?
Mm-hmm.
When really you should just be thinking, is this a song that I enjoy making that I think sounds good? Because that's how you got to where you're at. You know, at least for me, that's how I got to where I was at.
Yo, same. Like and especially the type of songs I make, they have to come from me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I try to make a song like somebody else, it's gonna come out like maybe it might come out good, but it might also be trash because it's not a me song. It's like,
Right.
oh, well, this does not sound like you. This sounds like this could be somebody else's song.
Right.
You hear a me song, you'll know it's my song because you're like, yo, this like it may sound like a type of genre, but it's like like this is you. Like I can hear the inspiration, but this is you. The subject matter
Totally.
is you. Like something like Derek Fisher. You
Right.
know, I feel like only I would make a song like Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Or I would only make a song like you can't, or it's just random things like that. Like that would only be me. Like, how did you come up with this? I don't even know. You know,
Yeah.
those are the types of songs I make. So
No, I agree. But at the same time, I try not to care too much about any of it because it's all just a part of the journey. It's all part of the story. Like I think about, I made this song "Big Joints," which is a pretty big song in terms of the songs that I've got. It's got like 1 million streams on Spotify, but it's not like some of my biggest songs that have tens of millions of streams.
yeah,
And Big Joints is definitely the song that I spent the most money on. I spent the most money on the beat. I spent the most money on the music video, and I'm doing everything independent. So I'm cutting the checks myself when I'm doing these things. And
hard song.
so,
By the way.
what'd you say?
It's a hard song, by the way.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it, and I love that song. And again, I think that people like that song for sure. But it's not my biggest song ever. But it's the song I spent the most money on for sure.
Yeah,
But it's just all part of the journey because making that song was an incredible moment in my life, and just doing that music video was a huge house party. We rented this huge house party and everybody pulled up, and
yeah.
Stiz was there and everybody else was there, and it was like one of the best nights. And so fuck it, it's all part of the journey. You
Literally,
just have to have fun with it at the end of the day. Like caring about the results too much just leads to
it'll ruin it.
yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, this didn't do what I wanted it to do. I don't like it anymore.
Right.
When it's
Right.
like you should have liked it from jump because you did it.
No,
Like,
luck bets on people that are in motion.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, and that's kind of funny how it works too. Like some of the most expensive things you do are usually like the least, like usually have the least results, and like the things you do like that cost the least amount of money or like the least amount of like you're having more fun with it. It
Right.
is one of those things where it's usually like your biggest thing. It's so
100%.
it's so funny. Like Christmas was talking about that last week too, and it's so true. Like he spent the least money on Not the Only One, and that ended up being his biggest video. I remember shooting that night
Yeah.
versus something like a real expensive video of his that hasn't done well. Like it's just kind of it's all the journey, but like it's also like you don't regret any of it because in the moment it was fun. The times were fun.
Yeah, exactly. There's different reasons that it was a positive experience, but it usually doesn't correlate to being the biggest thing when you have so much built up behind it and you want to put so much into this thing. Sometimes it just misses, but that's fine because it still was a fun experience, and exactly the idea of luck betting on people that are in motion. You just got to be doing stuff. And at the time, I wanted to take the risk of putting a big bet into the Big Joints video
Mhm.
and just seeing what would happen. And if it doesn't meet those expectations, you have two choices. You stop or you readjust.
Yeah.
And the only way to succeed in life is to pivot and readjust. Not think about, oh, this didn't work, so here's my 10 reasons why I'm going to stop.
Right. Like you doing this, you really got to be built for it.
Yeah.
Like really do in terms of like, and letdowns, in terms of like people flaking on you, in terms of like taking things personal. Like you really have to be built for this. And I feel like I'm at a point in life where I'm very built for this. Like I don't take a lot of things to heart, because like certain, like getting a feature from somebody, like there's so many things that go into it when you think about it. Like what is that other person going through? Like how's their mental state? Are they a signed artist? So if they're a signed artist and you don't have a budget, it's like that's a thing too.
Yep.
Or what's the budget and what's their label doing? What do they have going? It's so much stuff that goes into it. And like I remember I used to, like when I first lived in LA, I would feel a way about people being flaky, like like, hey, let's get up tomorrow, or like, you know, and the typical LA thing where it's like, okay, the day of, it's kind of like it flakes or
right.
through. Or like when I was supposed to have a show in London one time and we ended up not happening, or a show in like, what was it, Missouri or something, for like a vision party that never, you know?
Yep.
So many things that happened that I could have been like, fuck this, I quit. Like, you know, like this is I'm tired of this. Like fuck Donald Trump was supposed to be on Dear White People. We signed a contract and everything, and they went to choose songs and they never hit us back. And at that moment I could have been like, yo, like I'm done with
I'm fed up with this shit.
But you really can't take it to, you really just gotta like charge it to the game, like all of these things, because like I ended up getting an HBO placement after that, you know. I ended up being on an Eric Andre show, you know, like things happen, you know. But then for all those one things that happen, there's like 10 things that happen that didn't happen that I could have used as an excuse to quit.
Yeah, the only way to success is to keep going. And everybody's path is different. Some people achieve that massive success in 1 year. Some people achieve it in 20 years. But
it's true.
If you stop at any point in that process, then you don't get there. But if you keep going, there's only two options. Either you die and never see the success, or you get the success. So to me, it's like if I have to choose between those two things, then that's an easy choice. You know? I'm serious, and I don't want to be morbid, but it's true. It's really true. If you fundamentally believe that I'm either going to be successful or I'm not going to be around to see it, then you're already on your path.
And that's why Get Rich or Die Trying.
Get Rich or Die Trying. That's why that is the hardest album name of all time, bro.
This is real. It's like, yo, you gotta do this or like die trying. Literally, put your all into it.
No backup plan. You just have to continue to move forward.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And so far, this has been a great experience, man. It's been a great journey. I have no complaints about this.
I have no complaints either. I think that it's all about the outlook, and if you're willing to enjoy the journey and know that no matter how long that path is, one day you'll get to that point where you do feel like you accomplished something that you wanted to accomplish, and now you're on to the next thing or whatever, then that's beautiful. And there's a lot of fun moments that you and I have shared collectively through our lives. You know, I mean, shit, do you remember when we did a show with Afro Man? And they flew us out.
That's crazy.
We did a show for this rich kid's birthday in San Luis Obispo. And this was before I lived in California. We were both living in Boston.
This was my first time in California.
This was your first time on a plane?
Yeah, it was my first time on a plane.
We got flown out, and this was a while ago. We were both young. Yeah. We got flown out to California to do a show for this kid's birthday party. And this will show you how young I was. I said, the guy emailed me, and he was like, hey, we want you to, my son's a huge fan of your music. We want you to come out and do this show. And you and Afro Man are going to co-headline it for my son's birthday party that we're throwing in our barn. And I was like, bet $500. I was like, I'll do it for $500. And he was like, okay.
Whoa.
He was like, okay, word.
So much more bread than that. I just realized that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I could have, you know, and I had no idea what I was doing, like business wise. But I was like, yeah, $500. And then he was like, all right, well, I'll also like pay for the flights. And I was thinking like I was gonna have to buy my own flight. But no, he flew me out, you out, Tim out.
Yo,
we get there. Yeah, he flew us out on Virgin. Shouts out.
The suite too.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. So, anyways, he flies us out, puts us in this beautiful suite right on the ocean, the dolphin room.
We crashed a wedding.
Yeah, facts.
Crashed the wedding.
Facts. And then we go to the show and we do the show, and Afro Man's there, and he does the show. I do the show. We're all hanging out backstage, and then afterwards, the dad comes up to me, and he goes in to give me the handshake, and he gives me a handshake, and then there's $1,000 in his hand, and he shakes my hand, and he comes into my ear and he says, "You need to learn how to charge more," and he gives me $1,000, and I'm like,
amazing.
This is like the best weekend of my life.
Yo, that was a good time, man. That was such a good time.
That was a good time, man.
Yo, and that happened from.
I'm gonna find that picture and I'm gonna post that on Instagram when I post this episode. I'll find that picture and post it on Instagram for sure.
The kid was a kid who went to college in Boston, and he seen you perform when we were at the we were on tour with Swayze with Swayze.
Yep.
And he seen you perform on that show, and he became like a really huge fan, and then he wanted you to perform for his thing.
Crazy, man.
Or maybe he was on vacation because it was a graduation party. So he was on vacation, I think. That's what it was.
Yeah. Something like that. But
it was like the most random way to get a show, and like
so random, yeah.
So crazy that ended up being like the first time I went to California, and then like
what a great way too to go see the West Coast for the first time too.
Thinking about that now and like seeing how like the music industry is, like that was a highlight trip, because like
that was a great experience. Yeah,
we were flown on Virgin Island for one, and then we were in a suite. That alone is so much bread. Like promoters don't do that.
No, like, exactly. And yeah, this dude was caked up for sure, and he was taking care of us. But awesome dude, great family. Yeah. If this kid's listening to it, that was one of the best memories of my life. So shout out to you, your family, for hooking up the whole thing.
Thank you for that show.